Boom, ba 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 boom. Yes, orchestral favorites. 1979 is when this came out. It's by Frank Zappa, and it's a strictly instrumental, brilliant piece of work. 30 minutes of orchestral music played at the Royce Hall in California in 1975. And here's the back cover of it, in case you were wondering what it looked like. There it is. And I got to see, actually, the cover on this record was done by Gary Panter. He did the one for Studio Tan, and he did the one for Sleep Dirt, and they were not authorized by Frank Zappa. And I actually saw this. Actually, this is about a 3-foot by 3-foot painting. I saw it at producer Rob Fraboni's house. I don't know why he had it. I didn't even know he liked Zappa, but he actually had this. I've seen it. Very cool. Anyway, I wanted to let you know, you should check this out if you want to know about Frank Zappa. This is like one of his best albums I think he's ever done. And it's brilliant. It actually is, got the performances, as far as I can tell, are pretty flawless. Some of them were redone later on, around 1983 on the London Symphony Orchestra albums. But I don't think they didn't quite, there was a much bigger orchestra than this orchestra, but they didn't have the right feel for it. And this thing is, not only is it mixed, mixes are unbelievable, so much detail. He must have rehearsed this because it's flawless. Like, I mean, every piece is just played perfectly. In fact, some of the stuff is so well done, I figured out the reason it is because a lot of it was derived from the movie that he made, 200 Motels, back in 1971. So he had 4 or 5 years to sit around and perfect these tunes. And there's no question about it, he did, because they're flawless. They're just perfect little pieces of music for orchestra, for some strings, for some horns, for percussion, done up with a sense of humor and brilliant melody. And I suggest you go out and buy this one if you like Frank Zappa. I mean, it's just brilliant. It starts off with Strictly Gentile. That's the first number. It's kind of a waltz, and it features Terry Bozzio playing the drums on that particular one, and also Tommy Morgan playing the harmonica. So harmonica plays a good role in that particular piece. And it's a very sweet, sweet piece, and you can also find it on 200 Motels, where it actually has lyrics. But there's no lyrics on this album. And that's fine with me, because the music stands on its own. I have no problem with it. Anyway, it's a beautiful piece, and it also has a little section of it which reminds me of the 1812 Overture. I don't know, it sounds like that. Maybe Frank was making a goof on it. A lot of this stuff is kind of a parody of different styles of instrumental classical music, so if you listen to that piece, you'll hear plus you got 3 against 4, different time signatures, and it's just brilliant, brilliantly played. And it fades out. How many orchestral pieces do you know just fade out? Usually they have an ending to it, so it's kind of nice. Then it goes into a wicked piece called Pedro's Dowry. It's a very brilliant piece, very atonal, very rhythmic, and it's just an awful lot of fun to listen to. It reminds me a little bit of Milton Babbitt's piece called All Set. So if you go and find Milton Babbitt's piece and you compare them, you'll see they have sort of a jazz flavor, but like a classical thing going on. And with Frank, it's just an amazing conglomerate of different rhythms. Plus, it ends with a little bit of a joke kind of ending, which kind of lightens up the mood after this serious piece of music. And it's just brilliant. It ends with like kazoos and people doing all those little sounds that you'd find at the end of New Year, at the beginning of New Year's, all these New Year's sounds. It's a great piece of music. Definitely worthwhile. I like the little horn part. It's like kind of a trombone part in with the electric violin. I'm not sure who's doing the trombone. It might be Bruce Fowler. It's just a great little piece. And then as the piece ends, it goes right into it's kind of an existential piece for Frank. It's called Naval Aviation and Art, and I believe it's a quintet, just strings, and it's just this really kind of haunting little piece, a little bit of Webern going on in there, and you got to listen to it. It's about 2 minutes, but it's just beautifully orchestrated. And I'm not really sure what the title has to do with the piece of music. I guess he said something about a naval officer is squinting through the porthole of his ship, or was it submarine? I don't know. And he's trying to get some inspiration out of that little porthole. But I don't know if he did. But nonetheless, this piece here, is very inspired, and it's beautiful. Then on side 2, if you remember side 2, yes, back when we flipped records around, There's a piece called Duke of Prunes. Actually, we call it Duke of Orchestral Prunes. And it's a standard Frank Zappa melody from way back when he was a kid. He wrote this nice little tune, but eventually it ended up on Absolutely Free in 1967. It's called Duke of Prunes. And here it is, all done up orchestrally. And it features Frank playing the guitar as the lead instrument, doing amazing feedback, very similar to the feedback you'd find on the album that's kind of the sister of this, which has Filthy Habits on it, and also Zoodalores, where he uses this feedback in order to build these chords, and it's just brilliant, brilliant stuff. And then it ends with Bogus Pop, which is basically all the stuff that Frank did on 200 Motels, kind of condensed into 13 minutes. I think it's 13 minutes, yeah. And the thing just moves, and it's just brilliant. All the pieces, all the instrumentation works. You can hear everything. It's memorable. It's dissonant. It's got everything you can imagine. It's just a masterwork. It's a masterpiece without question about it. The mix is amazing. It features synthesizers, plus orchestral stuff, plus electric violin. And also features a little bit of crumpling of the saran wrap, which is a reference to this town, is just a tuna fish sandwich. That's kind of how it ends. Kind of like you finished the sandwich, you finished the piece of music, now it's time to leave. Anyway, I'm exuberant about this album because it's nothing about it that I don't like. I like every piece in it. I think it's brilliant. And it didn't get much, went nowhere. Nobody bothered to buy it because Chic Your Booty came out around the same time, and that was a huge hit for Frank. And that was a fine album. But this was a little bit different, and I wish more people would check it out because, you talk about classical music and, whether Frank was a good composer or not. I think this proves that Frank was an excellent composer. I wish he had lived longer because I feel like, who knows what the potential of orchestral music would have been for him. If he did The Yellow Shark back in '92, who knows what he would have done. But anyway, this is a brilliant piece of music. If you can find the record, great. But the CD versions are pretty good. They haven't really changed much. They sound pretty good. They did a good job on it, and it's an excellent performance. So I would suggest you go and purchase this. Don't bother doing it on Spotify. And if you still have a CD player, get the CD. It's just better. Just listen to the whole thing as a whole bunch of pieces, not just like separate things, because it sort of flows together. That's the way Frank put it together. And I think it works best that way. But that's me. I'm an old guy. What are you going to do? Bye.